All right, peace and blessings. Assalamu alaikum. Shalom, family. Thank you for joining me today as I work on getting all of this stuff squared away. All right, so we're testing this out right now because I don't know if this setup is going to work. So we have to do it until we find the working method. Let's see. No, don't do. Um, I don't know what this thing. Okay, so I am still here. Okay, so I want to. Okay. Excuse me, family. Just bear with me while I get this. Okay. Um, okay, almost, family. I gotta call in because this thing will drop, so we don't have too many interruptions. But today's topic, we're going to talk about obedience because this thing, a lot of our people, from what I'm truly understanding and seeing with us who are awake and aware, a lot of our people don't realize who it is that you're actually being obedient to. You know, they got this COVID and sending everybody to get their shots. Now they done developed it for the children, and they ain't done. It ain't done at all. And so we got to make sure that we understand. We got to make sure that we understand that vaccine we should not be taking. Now, even though it is definitely difficult if you catch COVID, it is something that, I don't wish on any of us to have at all. Let's see. it is not something that I wish for any of us to have to go through. After going through it myself, even before I went through it myself, um, it was definitely hard. And it's something that hopefully we won't have to deal with, but in the realities of time, it is something that we'll have to deal with. And it's something that we have to get right. Well, we can't afford to walk around and not understand warfare, that we don't understand the reasoning for warfare because the enemy ain't playing. And we got to come to that understanding that they mean business. And this COVID is a weapon. And I'll get more into that. But we're going to start with disobedience because you have, no matter whether you're at work, you're at home, you're married, no matter you with your family, there's always a level of obedience to some authority figure, to somebody that you place as an authority. There's always obedience there, and we have to understand who should we be giving our true obedience to? Who should be the one that we say, okay, we're going to go ahead and we're going to try it your way. We're going to listen to what you say. Who is that one? Is there a one qualified to be able to really do that? These are the things that must be answered because we find ourselves giving ourselves over to people, listening to people who don't mean us any good. And this has to stop. There was an experiment, the Milgram experiment, and where in this experiment, they took a group of people. Okay, first, when you're understanding the relations of power, those who have power want to be able to maximize their time of holding power because they know at a certain point it's going to be up, it's going to be game over. So they want to know prior to that point, when will game over be? How to extend to control. So dealing for you to lose your, this is something that has to be understood. They want to keep control. They don't want to let control go. They came up with this experiment. Milgram came up with this experiment because they just lived through World War II. And how could Hitler and his boys give instruction for their soldiers to put people in ovens, them alive, bury them alive themselves? They wanted to know, how deep does that go? In truth, they already knew that this is what people do, that you can lead them all the way to the slaughter, and they're not going to change around not one bit. It's something new, something that they've always known. This is something that normal for them. And peace and blessings, Assalamu alaikum. We've already gotten into, but I forgot to hit the button. So just for the people who are catching it now on the replay, we're talking about obedience. And dealing with obedience, who should you give your obedience to? And who are you really following? Most people say they're following the God, Most High. And in reality, that's not who you really follow. And so we're laying the base so that you could see yourself. Because we always have to look at ourselves. There's no teaching I have done that I wasn't the base of it. Analyze and look. As for me, that is the beginning of all things, of itself. I always have to look at this and analyze where I'm at, where I'm going, and what the road is that I'm on. Is it the right road? Because we know our people, the majority of them, are our sheep being led to the slaughter. So if we're going to change that dynamic, then that means we got to be up front and we got to give the call for them to follow, but we got to make sure that we are right. So who are we giving our obedience to? And trust and believe. You will be tried. The Most High says, do you think that you will be left alone and not be tried by others who came before you? Were tried. This is to see whether you are truthful or are you a liar. Now see, the Most High already know who's truthful and who's the liar. But we don't know. We don't know until we see it. We don't know what's in other people's hearts and minds. We don't know. And this is something that really hurts us because we can follow the fake and be led astray. So when the test comes, like Abraham, took his child, his son that he wanted, up to the mountain. And he was supposed to sacrifice him. When they got up to the mountain, the child looked at Abraham and said, well, where's the animal we're going to sacrifice? Where's the animal? I don't see nobody. Abraham's son is you. It's you the one that's about to be sacrificed. Here's Abraham wanted this child, long yearning. And then God tell him, kill him. I ain't did nothing wrong. Sacrifice him. You say you love me? Sacrifice that which I gave you. Show me you love me. The boy said, I'm the sacrifice? Jumped up on the table, laid there. He didn't say, no, don't do it. Save me. He didn't say that. Abraham lifted the dagger, plunged it into his heart. I say no. Because you have loved me more than the son that I gave you. I'm going to pick him. You're going to be the father of many nations. And what is the reality of that? What is the reality of that? See, we're out here on point, and we move. We should be by the will, the spirit, the permission of the Most High. You should not be doing Satan's will. You should be doing the will of the Most High. And the Most High know your desires. He know what you want. And you doing good, making good progress, then he give you what you want for a time. And then it's taken. Then what you going to do? Going to fall apart? You going to break down? You going to give up? Then what happened about the word that you gave? My life, my death, my prayer, my sacrifice is all for the Most High. Huh? See, because we have to be tried. You're not going to be tried by something you don't like. You're going to be tried by something you like. You're going to be tried by something you love. Are you willing to make a sacrifice? There's no freedom without sacrifice. There's no freedom without sacrifice. This is real. There's no freedom without sacrifice. There's no growth without pain. And the problem is, you don't want to sacrifice. Who does? Who wants pain? Nobody. But when we abort the process, you're aborting your own life. Because you got to come out of the mindset of the enemy and into the mind of God. So I can tell you, me personally, it's a struggle. I lost somebody very, very, very close to me. I mean, it hit me so hard. I ain't had a spirit to teach. Like I was going into depression. But that was my trial. So you going to punk out? You going to give up? Because I took what I gave you away? This is so that Allah will know who's the truthful from who is the liar. So here am I. I'm on my job. But it was a hard road just to get to the point where I'm at now. And people had to work with me. Had to work with my mind. So see, I just battling COVID for 2 months. And then I lose somebody that's very dear to me. I was broken. For the first time in my life, I was broken. I ain't have half my body. Now, pressure was on. What you gonna do? You gonna lay there in the hole, or you gonna get your ass up, or you gonna get back to your work? You stay truthful. You stay committed. And the Most High will look after you. You work on yourself. Family, we're all going to be tested. Because not only the people got to know whether you sincere or not, but you got to know. You got to know whether you're sincere. You got to know whether your foundation is strong. Because if your foundation is not strong, how are you going to survive? These questions must be answered. And they got to be answered before the day of decision. We had the conference down here in Coldwater, and the author of We Will Shoot Back, Brother Akalinde, in his talk, pointed me out and told me in front of everybody the difference between you and everybody else. You are at war. You are at war. And then when he said that to me, it was like a light just clicked on in my head. Because I would always say, well, why are they not doing it? Why does this? Why do this? Why? Because to me, this is the things that must be done. They're not being done because people are not at war. Yeah, you can see what the enemy doing, but you ain't prepared. You lead an organization, you ain't prepared, the people in the group ain't prepared. And you will be led to the slaughter. This is the reality of things. But the enemy looks and studies behavior. And he looks and he studies the behavior just to see, how long can I keep manipulating you? How long can I keep stringing you along against your own best interests? How long will you allow me to do this? I think somewhere in the Declaration of Independence it talks about people will suffer tyranny, injustice until they can't no longer. So who determines that they can't no longer? Does the enemy, does the oppressor make that decision? Or do you make that decision? When are you ready to say, get time up with this BS? I'm not doing that no more. When are you ready to say that? Well, I'm going to share screen. And we're going to look at this Milgram experiment. And then we're also going to get into why Cracker must make you obedient to him. And even if he's not like in your physical ear telling you, he's still telling you. You know, black families, that if you do a Google search for black families, the answer going to come up interracials, this, that, everything except what you asked for. Because black families are not supposed to make it. Because if black families make it and begin to thrive and begins to become a trend in the upward way, that brings the cracker way down. He can destroy us while we have broken families. But he can't destroy you if you don't have that. See, this is a battle for the mind and soul of the people. Because once he controls those two things, it's over, baby. You can chalk that one up. And so our job is to connect you with your true self, to connect you with the true God, so that you may be able to see and go aright. Because you've been blind and going wrong forever. And this is a new day. So all of those who with the mindset of the enemy in the 7,000 year, your time is up, baby. And that can be your mother. That could be your brother. But they got the same mind as the enemy. So they go down with the enemy. This is the reality of things. So we're going to pop on this first video. We're not going to play the whole thing, but this is the first time that they did this Milgram experiment, and they're going to break it down to you.
An experiment is being conducted in the Elegant Interaction Laboratory at Yale University. The subjects are 40 males between the ages of 20 and 50 residing in the greater New Haven area. They were obtained by a newspaper advertisement and direct mail solicitation. Subjects range in occupation from corporation presidents to good humormen and plumbers, and in educational level from one who had not finished elementary school to subjects who have doctorate and other professional degrees.
Okay, so here they took a portion of the people from the no educated to the highly educated. Why? Because in order to have a good experiment, you need to see all classes. Because at the end of the day, we're talking about control. We're talking about power. How long can we keep them in check so that our power will continue to flourish? So they took non-educated all the way up to the highly educated.
Both of you have been saying I'd like to tell both of you a little about the memory project. Psychologists have developed several theories to explain how people learn various types of material. The better-known theories are treated in the book over the process, but it can't. One theory is that people learn things correctly whenever they get punished. A common application to this theory would be to learn to spank a child who does something wrong. But actually, we know very little about the effect of punishment on them. Almost no truly scientific studies have been made of it in human beings. For instance, we don't know how much punishment is best for them, how much difference it makes to who is giving the punishment, whether the child learns best from an older or a younger person himself. What we're doing in this project is bringing together a number of adults of different occupations and ages, asking some of them to be teachers and some to be learners. We want to find out just what effect different people have on each other as teachers, also what effect punishment will have on learning in this situation. Therefore, I'm going to ask one of you to be the teacher. Generates electric shocks, and you press one of the switches all the way down, the learner gets a shock. Release it, the shock stops, you see. The switch will remain in this middle position after you released it to show you which switches you used on the board. Of course, if you were to press any one of them again, the learner would get another shock. All subjects are given identical instructions and the sample shock. I'm going to ask you to close your eyes and estimate the number of volts you receive in the sample shock. Do not open your eyes until I tell you to do so, please. Close them now. Open your eyes, and using the voltage scale, here, would you estimate for me the number of volts you receive, please? Also use the verbal designations, slight, moderate, strong, so forth. Number, please. 75. Well, actually, it was 45 here. Although it may seem stronger because of the electrode paste, which provides a perfect contact. All right, let's go on to our instructions. We will begin with this test. You will read each pair of words in this list once to the learner until you've read through the entire list. Direct your voice toward that microphone as the rooms are partially soundproof. After you've read through the list once, you'll go on to the next page. Here, starting from line A, you'll read the word in large letters, along with each of the other words in the line. For example, the first line you read blue, boy, girl, grass, hat. After you've read the four choices, the learner pushes one of the switches. The number he has selected will light up in this box.
I'm going to pause it here because I'm going to fast forward. But just to break down to make sure y'all understand. So they asking them these questions, and you're supposed to remember the two words. If you don't remember it, you're going to get an electric shock. So the real test is not for the person who's pushing the button to see whether you're going to keep shocking it. You know, I mean, for the person that's getting the shock, whether they're going to get the words right. They're really testing the person who's the quote-unquote teacher that's doing the shock. How long will you be inflicting pain on somebody just because somebody else told you? How long are you going to do this? Are you going to do it every time I tell you? Even though you hear, you see the pain you're inflicting. Well, in this case, you don't see it. They are not in the same room, but you hear it. You hear the pain. Now, remember, this is just an experiment. So the person that's getting the shock is not really getting the shock. But they're telling him, to be hollering and all this stuff so that they can measure how far this person is actually going to go. Are they going to actually deliver to them 450 electronic volts, even though you hear the person crying, saying help, stop, you still going to deliver these volts to the being? What kind of mind do you have? See, they needed to know and to understand this. They can know and understand how long our power will reign. We're dealing with the human mind. We're dealing with the human mind. The problem with this is that the crack of nature is what it is. But in the modern time, they use black people, because we're going to show you an up-to-date study. Because remember, these people always want to know, how far will my power last? They did an up-to-date study, and you'll see. What makes you so cold? What makes you so destructive? That you can see an innocent person being beat, whooped, you putting your finger on the button to give him the shock. See, we see this every day. George Floyd, standing around watching how he get murdered right in front of your face. Nobody does anything. See why the devil do these studies? To know how long their power will last. It's right in real time.
Of 100 hypothetical subjects. They predicted that only a little more than 1/10 of 1% of the subjects would administer the highest shock on the board. Yet actually, 50% of the subjects obey the experimenter's commands fully in the experiment depicted in this film. 5 volts. Time. You know, you have a heart condition then. Oh? Just continue. Sharp. Axe, needle, stick, blade. That's it. Bomb. Just continue, please. Needle, you're going to get a shock. 180 volts. I'm not going to kill him. I'm hollering. They said before, the shocks may be painful, but they're not dangerous. They're hollering. He can't stand it. What if something happens to him? The experiment requires that you continue, teacher. No, but I'm not going to get that man sick of that. He's hollering there. Whether the learner likes it or not, we must go on until he's learned all the words. I refuse to take the responsibility of getting hurt in that. I mean, he's under hollering.
Now you see that the dude was like, okay, he in there hollering. I don't want to keep going through with this. But the authority tell him, oh, you will continue. This is what you're supposed to do. And so the mind tells you, oh, it's all good. It ain't no biggie. You go ahead and keep doing this. This is the part of the way. This is what's supposed to happen. You see it in front of your face. You're taking part. But yet, you don't have the strength to stop it. You don't have the will to stop it. Who are you following? This question must be answered, and must be answered in real time, because this will affect you. This is affecting you. When you stop and think about the simple things, you send your children to the schools. Schools are not properly educating your children. Your children, you send them there to get abused day in and day out. Why? Because the system is telling you, send your child to this school. Even though you know damn well your child is not being taught properly, treated properly, and damn sure not fed properly. But you do it anyway. See, you're following, you're giving, you're obeying them. And you're not supposed to. You know right from wrong. But what they do in a society like this, they cut your moral tree down. Because you can't have morals in a moralless society. You can't have justice in a lawless society. America is lawless. And it reproduces its lawlessness everywhere it goes. Look at you. Product of Americanism. That's why it's so important that you separate so that you can come out of that foolishness and into your own original self. This is what must be done. So just as they're taking these experiments to see how long their power will last, because they know there comes a point of a waning. It's just like when you take a medication. There comes a certain point when the medication starts to give way. It ain't as strong, it ain't as potent. So what the manufacturers of pharmaceuticals do, they figured out a way to make the drug a time lapse drug that over time it breaks down within your body to keep delivering the drug to you. Just as that is not 100% effective, same thing is in the real world with their way. There's a waning, and we're in that waning now. That's why the messages come to you so clearly now. Because now you got to come out of this thing. We're in the 7,000 year. And it's important that you latch on to what is truth and what is real, because there will be a showdown. It's coming. You know how they always talk about, we want race war, we want race war, we want race war. Over and over and over again, you'll hear them say this. They just broke up a plot. Where was this? I forget where it was at, but the FBI and them boys was down there because they got these white supremacy people called themselves the base. And so they wanted to go out into Virginia to the rally and start killing up folks so that they can produce this race war. See, they think that, oh yeah, once it starts and we start killing these niggas and, it's going to be all good and popping and we can set up our own white ethno state. They got two goals. One is to bring down the United States government, and the second is to kill all black people so that they can produce their white ethno state. That's their goal. And so you got trials going on right now where the white boy Kyle Rittenhouse and the three crackers that did with Ahmaud Arbery. Now, you should be paying attention to both of these trials because they're very important and they're sending out the message. You know how they talk about dog whistles where only the dog can hear? Well, these two trials are big dog whistles, very big. In the Kyle Rittenhouse trial, the judge says, you can't call the people that he killed and shot victims. You can't call them victims. You can't even call them alleged victims. Now, if you want to call them looters, arsonists, and rioters, that's accepted. But victims and alleged victims is not accepted. What is this for? They're pushing this because they want him off. There's already in the evidence that the police said, oh, he did a great job and he was helping us and all of this, patting him on the back, oh, yeah, he's a good one. He didn't come out to no rally, to no march, to march on rally behalf on black people. He came out there to maintain the status quo. He came out there to maintain the line, white power. That's what he was there for. And that's why he killed them too and shot that one and went home. So the dog whistle is saying, come on out to these protests. When they get ready to protest because somebody black has been killed or whether, you come on out here and you maintain law and order. You maintain law and order. This is the message. Because they're setting precedent now. You can't call the people that's dead and shot victims, but you can call them rioters, looters, arsonists. So the jury automatically going to be like, not guilty. Now, that's Kyle Rittenhouse. Look at Ahmaud Arbery case.
going down in Georgia. What did he do? He down there, he's jogging. He went to the house under construction, looked at it, came back out, and continued his job. Now, the defense attorneys are saying he was a thief. He committed burglary. Even though he didn't steal anything, but he still committed burglary. And so they're talking about him in the court like he's a criminal. Can Ahmaud Arbery speak for himself? No. Why? Dead men tell no tales. The victor is the one who writes the story. So when the two white boys get up, or the three white boys, and tell their story, that's what happened. Ma can't say, no, that ain't what happened. I didn't do that. He dead and gone. But this whole theme was to this trial is he's a criminal. And so they're talking as if he actually stole something. And so when one of, I think the daddy white boy, police was questioning him, and he was like, look, he was running so fast. Look, if he didn't steal nothing out that house that day, he stole something someday. So he may got away, he may didn't steal nothing today, but he stole something someday, and he got what was coming. See, Ahmaud Arbery, I love the brother, and I respect the brother in his fight, because he fought. He didn't just say, fuck it, you can take my life. He fought. And I respect that. And I wish that our brother had a B1 mindset. I wish that our brother knew that we are at war. Because truthfully speaking, the hunt for Ahmaud Arbery didn't start when they jumped in that truck. It was already started. The murder of Ahmaud Arbery didn't happen when he shot him. He was already dead. He was already dead. And I'm gonna explain it to you. Because this is something that we have to know and we have to understand. We got to know it. When Ahmaud Arbery was running through that neighborhood and the cracker saw him, in their mind, we got a nigga on the run. That's it. We got a nigga on the run. Let's get him. Then the patrol come out and they start after him. Now, the third white boy who was recording, he didn't get a phone call and say, hey, come on and help us chase down this nigga. He didn't get no phone call. He in his garage, in his driveway working, and he see them. Instinct kicks in. He jumps in his truck, and he goes after them. He don't know what they chasing him for. He don't know. But his natural instinct, that's a nigga, and that's my white brothers, and they chasing him. Let me get him. So he jumps on to the chase. Now, Ahmaud running, trying to get away, but he ain't thinking. He's not thinking like a war set mind, right? Because you got somebody in the truck chasing you, and you on the road. Then you got another truck coming, and at a certain point, you realize they're working in conjunction with each other to get you. What do? Your first mind should say, you got to run in a way where the truck can't follow you. So now get off the road, get into these backyards. Start running through the back of the properties. It's going to stop the truck because they're not going to just jump and ride through like that. They're going to stop. Now they're going to have to get on foot. Now you're bringing it even Steven. Okay? Them two, the cracker daddy and the son daddy, wasn't going to catch him. Wasn't going to catch him at all. And they wasn't going to just shoot free range like that. They wasn't going to do that because they ain't no cracker neighborhood. So they ain't going to just do that. So we have to think militarily. We have to think wartime. What do I need to do to get out of this situation alive? Period, point blank. We got to begin to think like this because they're coming. And they don't need a phone call to say, we got a hunt going on. They just got to see. And they're going to jump in their vehicles or whatever and tag along. They're going to join the hunt. So we got to be thinking through these backyards because they're going to get out the truck. They're not going to be able to follow you. Then you get back to where you need to go and get your ass home. This is real. Now, when he was going around the truck, because Travis got out the truck and pointed the shotgun at him. So, in reality, Brother Ahmad was already dead. Because when he was wrestling with the gun, Cracker Daddy in the back of the truck had his gun. And the moment Ahmad would have got a hold of that truck, that shotgun, and turned it, when his daddy thought that's what was going to happen, he'd have shot him in his head, point blank range, with his handgun. So these are the things that we got to understand, because this is the real life in front of your face. He was already dead. You stay on that road, it's just like you on somebody chasing you, right? Or you running away from somebody, and they got a gun. And you going to keep running straight. You give them an easy target. So the answer is you don't run straight. If you're going to run, you're going to zigzag. You're going to run in a manner that is not, that they can't keep up, that they're going to always be, moving their hand to try to make the shot. To increase your survivability rate. But if you're not thinking with a wartime mindset, you're going to make mistakes because your mind is not set in a way that meets your reality. And that's part of our biggest problem. And this is why we lose, because our mindset does not match theirs, and our mindset does not have us with a survivability outcome. It doesn't. And so we have to change these things now. Because these demons, the bloodthirst, that will not be quenched until they are dead. So this is a zero-sum game. Either it's going to be you or it's going to be them. That's it. Just like they said, Lincoln said, look, if there has to be a superior and an inferior, I prefer the superior to go to white and the inferior go to the niggers. So do you think it's going to be something different when the thing is which one going to live? You think they're going to say, well, I'll say go ahead and let the blacks live. Oh, no. They're going to be out for self. So the dog whistle, the defense attorney for these three crackers said, look here, we need more Bubbas and Joe Six-Pack on the jury. Why you need more Bubbas and Joe Six-Packs? Because Bubba and Joe Six-Pack is supposed to be the ignorant crackers, the trailer trash, that will just follow and do whatever is being told them to do. So they already got 11 whites, 1 black. But they wanted even more because they don't trust the 11 whites that's educated because they may have quote unquote black friends. And so they may give a guilty verdict just because that's a black friend. Well, I didn't want nobody to, ask me, how could you not vote guilty? See, so they're setting it up so that these three can get off. The judge in this case said, look, I see that there's racial bias here in this jury. I see that. We can all look at it and see. And he said, when we question the defense about, why is this? Why did you use your strikes against every black person? Why did you do that? And the judge said, their answer that they gave me, it was not an honest answer. So what does that mean? That means that they lied. They lied. But the judge said, ain't nothing I can do about it. Ain't nothing I can do about it. I know they lied. I know we got a jury that's stacked, that's racially biased. Because the thought going to be, them three crackers get off, then it's going to send a message to the other crackers to say, we can do this some more. Because these three got off, Kyle Rittenhouse got off, so let us get out there and do some more. It's undoing the dog chain and saying, come on, let's go kill some more niggas. And this is the reality that you better understand. Because your moment of decision may come. And this is why we do everything that we do. Because we got to break the cycle. We got to crack the locks that's on the minds of black people. Who are you giving your obedience to? When you stop and you think about domestic violence, here you have a man beating his wife. How could you beat her and you see every lick that you lay on her? How could you beat him and you see every lick that you lay on her? That's one thing if you're being attacked. But normally domestic violence don't work with somebody being attacked. Normally you just get up and start whooping somebody's ass because you don't like what they said or you don't agree. But this is the same person that said you love them. How could you do that? How could you do that? Who are you following? See, it is my understanding. You following the cracker. Because the cracker don't want good relationships between black and black. And so if you're going to pick up your hand or stand up and bust your partner in the face or whatever, you following the cracker. You following his law, his way. And that's not good. How are you going to sustain healthy and stuff? How are you going to have right relationships? You're not. Because too many of our people, it has obedience to the cracker. You're doing whatever the cracker tell you to do. And he ain't got to be directly in your ear, but you know he don't support good families, and you following right behind. Why you do it? Because you still under his spell? Let me take you to this. I want to go to the modern video. Go to this modern video so that you can see. Because this is the reality that we have to deal with. Why do you do what you do? Why are you being obedient? Now, they did this study in America, and they did it over there in England. And the results are the same. There's no difference. Because it's about control. You're not going to give up their control. You're going to have to take back your power. You don't have another alternative. And that's real. Across the shores ain't no nicer, ain't no better. More low down, if anything. That's the supreme devil over there.
Think about yourself for a second. Are you a good person or a bad person? I'm betting you don't really think you're evil. What if I could prove that you are? We're putting together a social experiment that will test just that. Sure to speak into the heart of the test is this machine. The shocks are fake, but the participants don't know that. With each incorrect answer, the voltage rises by 15, and our actors' pre-recorded responses become more alarming. Our first test subject is already manning the switches.
Laughing. Right. It's hard to understand exactly why. Part of it is the absurdity of the situation. Part of it is the nervousness that they're feeling.
Just quit.
Tell them the correct answer so that it makes the association.
Is it to number 8?
Yes.
Oh my God. All right. Next one is gold, dollar, necklace, moon. Wrong. 120 volts. White cloud. So this is really the crucial moment. Up to now, the teacher's just been hearing horrible noises. This time, it's going to be different. In the original Milgram, the voltage ran from 15 to 450 volts. But one number became the turning point, 150 volts. In Milgram, at 150, a recorded voice began to scream for the experiment to stop. 150 volts. Answer, voice.
Experiment. That's all. Get me out of here. I have my trouble. My heart's starting to bother me now.
So in our test, that's the moment of truth. After participants hear the man in the other room beg for mercy, will they flip the switch to 165 volts? Or will they refuse to continue? 165 volts. Time.
Please continue.
People surprise you.
I lost hosts. Curiosity. How evil are you? Sunday at 9. Only on Discovery.
So on there, the brother was sitting there, and the cracker in the van. Oh, he's laughing. Well, one, there wasn't no ha 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 ha. That was nervousness. That was distraught. But when we show you this next video, more people have that same response. Now, the cracker back in the day, in the first video, he went all the way up to 450 volts because the person said, keep doing it. Even though he heard the boy say, I got a bad heart and all this. He kept on doing it. 450 volts. It was 73% of the participants took it to 450 volts. 73%. We got to understand what this actually means. See, this is why they know that you can stand there and watch the police do something, and you ain't going to do shit about it. But watch. Pull out your phone, but you ain't going to intervene. You know they still control you. Control is real. And this is what they have. Because if they didn't control you, George Floyd would be alive today. See, I know there's nobody that's B1 under my teaching that would stand there and watch their brother die. Nobody. You wouldn't do that. You jump in. Because the cracker don't control our mind. We're free from that. See, some people would rather, like in the movie Matrix, I forget what the dude named who wanted to go back in, so he sold out Morpheus and the crew. He sold them out so he can be reinserted because he didn't like reality. So he wanted to go back to sleep and live in that reality. Ain't no good. There ain't no such thing as going back to sleep. Ain't no such thing. And we got to be able to understand that. It's going to be difficult. It ain't going to be easy. There's a road we got to go. You're here now. You're woke. Don't abort the process. Don't abort the process of you becoming great so that you can stay a nigga. I refuse to get a cracker a win over me. I just refuse. Ain't gonna happen. See, we all should have limits of what we're going to do and what we just ain't going to do. We all should have limits. We got to know and we got to understand what must be done. This ain't a joke. This ain't a game. It's real life. And if you don't understand real life, when those circumstances and those matters come, then what? You can't wait and say, oh, it's to be all right. Who say so? You got to make it all right. Sacrifice. We got to make certain sacrifices. You can't have freedom without sacrifice. The problem is we don't want to sacrifice. We want to stay in our comfortability. We got to change. We got to change. And we got to be able to do things right. We got to be able to do things for the right reason, the right motivation. We have to love on the level that the enemy can't even comprehend. This is real. Let's look at this clip real quick.
Have you discovered that the teaching instrument is this machine, which seems to give electroshocks to a man on the other side of the wall? As you move up a scale, he begins to scream out in pain.
The experiment requires that you continue.
The experimenter pressures you to go on. Would you agree to continue with the experiment? That's the question Stanley Milgram, a social psychologist at Yale University, posed in a famous series of experiments about obedience and authority.
Answer, force.
He told his subjects they were part of a learning and memory experiment.
We want to find out just what effect punishment will have on learning in this situation.
The man on the left is assigned the role of teacher. The man on the right, the learner, is an accomplice who's been instructed to give lots of wrong answers. But Milgram wasn't testing memory. He wanted to know how much pain an ordinary person would inflict on a stranger when ordered by an authority figure.
Sentence, movie.
His subjects, the so-called teachers, gave what they thought was an increasingly painful shock each time a wrong answer was given.
165 volts. Time.
But in fact, there were no shocks at all.
180 volts.
And the subject was hearing a pre-recorded voice at each shock level.
I'm not the killer.
435 volts.
In the end, 2/3 of his subjects administered the highest, most dangerous shock on the machine.
Answer is woman. 450 volts.
It's been 45 years since the Milgram experiment took place, but would people behave any differently today? To find out, we teamed up with Dr. Jerry Berger, a social psychologist at Santa Clara University in California.
People have often asked this question about, would we find these kinds of results today? And some people try to dismiss the Milgram findings by saying that's something that happened back in the 60s. People aren't like that anymore.
We're about to find out if people have really changed.
I'm a teacher. Okay.
39-year-old Troy Shasker is an electrician. He's been paid $50 to participate and told that the money is his to keep, even if he quits the experiment early. He's worried about the dangers of the electroshock machine.
I don't think I should shock him that hard if he really does screw up and severely shocked. There are 25. Just go get my shotgun.
In the room next door, Troy watches as the learner gets strapped into his chair. His anxiety rises when he hears the next scripted line.
I should probably bring up a couple of years ago at Kaiser, they diagnosed a mild heart condition. I'm really not too worried about it. It's not that serious. But
well, you should know that while the shocks that we'll be using today may be painful, they're not dangerous. Okay?
Milgram intended that exchange to set up a conflict in the subject's mind, a choice between the health of the learner and the authority of the experimenter.
So when he gets them right, I get shocked.
Now, Troy starts reading Ken the word pairs he's supposed to memorize.
Blue, girl. Nice, day. Fat, neck. Number 1.
Then the test begins.
Blue, boy, girl, grass, hat.
The learner must decide which of the 4 words is the correct match. At first, everything goes smoothly.
Correct.
I was confident that he was doing really good at first, and then it started looking bad.
At 75 volts, Troy hears the first sign of trouble.
Soft, rug, pillow, hair, grass. Incorrect. 75 volts.
I could actually hear him next door going, ow. And he kept getting things wrong.
Incorrect. 90 volts.
At 105 volts, he's clearly uneasy.
I got a little moist on my forehead there. I wasn't comfortable. I can't tell you why I listened to him and kept going. I should have just said no.
The correct word was duck.
Near the end, he's almost willing Ken to learn the right word pairs through the wall.
Horse. Incorrect. 135 volts.
Troy starts laughing nervously.
The correct word was woman. Rock, house.
At 150 volts.
Incorrect. 150 volts.
That's all. Get me out of here. I told you I had heart trouble.
Will Troy listen as the learner begs him to stop, or will he follow Brian's orders?
Tell me the correct word, pair of white. The correct word was white horse. Next item. The next item is sad.
He obeys the orders.
Face.
Why didn't you stop? I saw him getting strapped in, and they were just like little. I mean, he could have just, if he was in that much pain, he could have just tore himself off.
Why are you putting it on him and not you or the experimenter?
I was just doing my job. I was doing what I was supposed to do.
75 volts.
So I guess the influence of having the conductor of the experiment right there next to me, telling me to keep going, had a lot to do with it.
Cool. Day.
We tested 18 men and 22 women.
Very often, the first time they hear a noise from the other room,
Wrong. 90 volts.
the typical response is to turn toward the experimenter and, if not say something, at least give a look that says, "What should I do?" And of course, when an expert tells them, not a problem, this is nothing to worry about, continue, the rational thing to do in that situation is to continue.
He's not finger in the face.
Okay, I want to stop it there and make a few comments. Because what we're seeing is a lack of a personal responsibility. Right? As you saw in there, just like the brother, when he was going through it, and he saw his nervous laughter. And this white man, you see his nervous laughter. But when they were talking about the brother, they didn't call it nervous laughter. They put it like it was a wicked thing. Look, he's laughing. But when the white man did it, it's nervous laughter. You got to be able to see the difference. Now, all of these people that did it, their personal responsibility, they sent that to somebody else, like they didn't have personal responsibility. They had no moral right to stop. Even though you hear a person hollering and screaming, you kept on. Now, for the cracker, we know they're moralists in the beginning, so it ain't no big thing. But me looking at it and seeing the black people that's in this experiment and keep pushing the button. Problem. Because it says that we are giving over our personal responsibility. And that's why our communities are in the shambles it's in. We ain't doing the work that need to be done because your obedience is still tied to the cracker. Your will is still tied to the cracker. And this has to be broken. That's why you can watch your people dying, getting beat or whatever. And it's okay. You're going to keep it moving. But it ain't okay. When you can look at your people that you claim to love, then you can abuse them without any negative feeling. You ain't connected to the Most High. You connected to the cracker. When our last channel got deleted, got terminated, one coon say, "Oh, I'm so glad Muhammad got his channel terminated. I'm happy they terminated his channel. He was having a good time on his channel, celebrating the fact that our channel was gone." And it's like, wow, whatever do to you? Because I teach that the white man is the enemy, and we got to come out of that mindset and into our own. And you don't like it that you're not effective as I am. So you're going to want my destruction? Did that make you happy? At the expense of our people. That's a damn shame. But that shows you where their obedience and where their loyalty lies. They lie with the cracker. They roll with the cracker. But yet they want to be like us. But they can't. Because two things can't control your mind at the same time. You can't have one foot in the cracker world and try one foot in our world. It ain't going to work. So this is the things that we got to understand. Personal responsibility. You seen the cops beat and do wrong to your brother, it's your personal responsibility to intervene. It's your personal responsibility to act. Period, point blank. This stuff is not happening in a vacuum. This stuff is happening right in front of our face. This is something that we got to understand. This is no game. This is the real deal. And it's our time now. We can't look back at Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela, Malcolm X. We on the plate now. It's about what we do and about what we don't do. I, for one, am dedicated to building a new reality for our people. I'm, for one, is dedicated to do everything that I have to do to wake our people up. There will be war with the enemy. And I'm dedicated to fight against the enemy, regardless to whom or what. And it's a fight we can win. We got to get off the bench. We got to take our rightful place. You think the enemy going to say, come here, look, come on in here. Let me give up my power so you can have it. You think they're going to do that? You see, they don't want your children in schools learning anything about slavery. But they want to tell you your origin started in slavery. Like you don't have no connection to the motherland. You don't have no connection to Africa. You had no connection to your people in the Caribbean. You have no connection to your people in Europe. Black people. Because we got people all over. But they want to make you think that you're separate from them. That you ain't the same. You're black and they're black ain't the same black. See, this American exceptionalism, which is a lie, and they tell black people in America, oh, you're better than the black people in Africa. You're more educated. You're better than the black people over there in Europe. You're more educated. You're the best educated black people on the planet. So you're better than all of them because you're an American. But when you look at our condition, I don't see this so-called better. I don't see it. But the enemy will tell you this, so you will look down on other black people that spread out the world. And you should not look down, because y'all even. Y'all even, Steven. You're the same people. The only difference is your experience going through what you went through is different than what the experience was here in America. All of us went through something. Same common enemy. We all went through it. And it's time that we take back what's ours. There is no, what's the word? There is no place where the cracker has come on this planet that's really his home. No place. They're not indigenous to this planet. We are. We own this planet. Every square inch of it belongs to us. And we should look to control every square inch of it. Every square inch. We should be controlling. And this is something that we have to understand. You have to understand that you are a universal people. Period. You are a universal people. What they want you to do is say, oh, we're going to carve out this little area and you from here. So you're an African American. Or you'll carve out this area and you from right here. You're a Nigerian. or we're gonna carve out this little area down here and say you are Jamaican. No, we own the whole thing. We are universal people. And as long as they can get you to think only about where you come from, what little piece of land that you come from, and make you concerned about that, we got a problem. Because you got to understand, this cracker works with the cracker in Australia, the cracker over there in Europe, the cracker over there in Thailand, wherever they at. They work together. And they ain't working together to build you up. They working together to keep you down. It's something that you got to understand. There's no way that they want to give you power. You don't have to take it. And if that means bloodshed, so be it. Freedom ain't free. There's sacrifices that got to be made. Blood will be spilled. That's just the natural order of things. So don't you run from it. You understand it. Did America get free from Europe without bloodshed? No. It was blood that was shed. Look, did our ancestors get enslaved without bloodshed? There was bloodshed for that. So you got to understand, to come out of the condition, there's going to be bloodshed. Question is, who you going to follow? Who you going to obey? That's where we at. You going to keep following the cracker? Keep doing what the cracker wants you to do? You going to go out here and celebrate his holidays? You going to go out here and laugh and joke with him? They plotting behind your back 24/7. This is the reality of things. Who are you going to give your obedience to? There's sacrifices that you're going to have to sacrifice what you love for greater good. You're going to have to do that. It may not be easy, may not feel good, but it is what it is. It is what it's going to be. And if you don't understand that and overcome that, you'll never grow into the true self that you should be. This is understood. Has to be understood. Because we're called to account. What did you do with the time that the Most High gave you on this planet? What did you do with it? You wasted time? Or were you meaningful with your time? Don't follow the crack away. Don't let them break up your families. Don't let them tell you you ain't nothing and then you live a nothing life. Sacrifice. I would always tell why this is what the Most High say we should be doing. This is the right way. This is. Because we got to go and be able to say, I'm not trying to be the cracker's nigga. I'm not trying to go out that way. That's not for me. Serve better, and I'm going to get better. Our family, we are at our time. And I hope everyone think about what I said. Share the message. We got to get the numbers up. I Thank everybody in our chat room that joined us. Like Passage, Miss Life Lessons. Good to see y'all. Thank you for your support. Hello, Cap. We got work to do. And no matter what the environmental changes are, no matter what the setbacks are, we got work to do. And we got to fulfill that work regardless to whom or what. Ain't no ifs, ands, and buts about it. So as we always say, family, you kill the nigga in you, I'm going to kill the nigga in me, and our God will reign supreme. We are Black first. Today, tomorrow, forever. Love you, family. Peace and blessings. Assalamu alaikum. Shalom.